Welcome back, Gadgeteers. We're going to do an unboxing today, so we're going to have a little bit of fun. Inside this box I have a PC, and it is the second one I've bought. The first one was sold, and I meant to do a special video about it, so I want to open up this box, let you see what's inside, and then we're going to talk about what we're going to do with this PC and why I originally bought one of these. Alright, I've got most of the peanuts taken care of. I'm going to pop this out and set it on the table behind me, and then we'll have a proper look at it. Alright, for the plastic I did find a handy dandy knife, so we're going to use that to cut this off. So what do we have here? Well, I'm glad you asked. We have a Dell Optiplex 9020. Now, I'm going to go over everything that's on this computer. You've probably heard a lot about them, but anyway, each one's a little different, so I'm going to go through this particular one. Now, on the front here, hopefully you can see, it actually has a card reader that was installed, and it also has a DVD-ROM drive here, which is good. No floppy, as with modern computers. I really like the microphone on the front and the headphone jack. I think that's definitely a helpful feature to have if you want to plug headphones in. Also, I don't know if you know, these computers come with a speaker built in, so if you don't have a headphone plugged in, you can actually use the speaker that's built in. We've got two high-speed 3.0 USB type A ports, and we have two USB 2.0, and then on the side here we have a piece of styrofoam. Yay! Now I'm going to open this up in just a second. I did want to point out though, and I'll put my finger over part of it, on the top here is a Windows 7 sticker. Now, the cool thing about these Optiplexes, my experience thus far has been you can just install Windows 10 and they work fine. So it really is kind of cool that you can just move these to Windows 10. I'm not going to tell you that's the case with all of them, okay? I just wanted to let you know that. Now, it also has onboard video, and it has two DisplayPort outs. It has two high-speed USB Type A, two USB 2.0 Type A ports, and two more USB 2.0 Type A port. And then we have headphone and microphone, or vice versa, I should say. I think it only has one fan out, and it looks like somebody previously had a video card in here. We can see there. So let's take a look at the inside of this computer. Now, of course, this isn't going to be as pretty as some of the computers that you have at home. What we have here is two DDR3 4 megabyte sticks, and I have two more I'm going to put in here. Looks decently clean. The heat sink and fans seem to be fine, so that's nice and clean in there. It came with a 500 gigabyte hard drive, but we do have a SanDisk SSD that we're going to put in. This is a 500 gigabyte SSD that will go inside this computer. I really think that this makes a big difference on these computers. Now, the processor, you're probably wondering, is actually an i7-4790 processor. I know in my previous video, I don't know if I've released it, I probably haven't, I kept referring to it as a 4690, but it's actually a 4790 i7, so it's a 4th generation processor. It has two PCIe slots, so you can put in another video card if you would like. Now, the only downside to the 9020 model of Optiplex is it has a proprietary power connector, although if you want, you can change out the power supply. Now you can get a cable for these for about $10, which is a decent price. So if you decide you want to change out the power supply, it's not a big deal to get a converter cable to convert a standard power supply connector to this. I believe it's an 8-wire connector. So we only have one SATA cable in there, so I'll have to find another SATA cable because we want to keep that storage for them. And the previous computer that I had here, what I had done is built the computer and put a RX 570 video card in it, and it actually ran really great. As a matter of fact, I got equal to or better frame rates than my RX 580 on my Ryzen 7 1700 Dell Inspiron. Go figure. So it did great. It actually has a better single core speed than the Ryzen 7 1700. I believe the Ryzen 7 2700X is roughly around the same. I'll post those scores again here. I have them for everything. So what I need to do is get that drive in, and I'm going to install Windows, and then we're going to do a couple of tests on this so you can see for yourself how well it runs. Now, the reason I bring this all up is because the price for this computer is actually pretty decent. I got it for $250. So we're going to talk about adding memory and adding a video card, which I'm not going to do in this video, and what the final cost was on the previous version that I did. And you'll get an idea of what you can build an inexpensive computer for gaming, or quite frankly anything you want. And by the way, we'll put the price in for the SSD as well. So we'll add all that up, and I'll give you the price for a very nice computer. This would actually make a good gaming machine, or if you wanted just general productivity. I also used it with Fedora Linux. Alright, give me a second. I'm going to get the new drive in. Alright, so we've got the memory in. We now have 4 4GB DIMMs for a total of 8 GB. These two here actually came out of the other Dell 9020 Optiplex I was working on, so shouldn't be a problem with compatibility. I did have an issue when I was using some RAM that I had, and the two 8 GB that I had would work fine, but I could only put one of the 4 GB DIMMs in. If I tried to fill it all up, it wouldn't work, so I just left them out of the previous computer. The previous computer I brought up to 16 GB, and now this one will be 16 GB. I had these butt ugly orange SATA cables that I bought probably 5 or 10 years ago, and you know, that was back when we only put them in computers that would close up, so we didn't care what it looked like. Of course now we do, because most computers have windows and fancy LED stuff going on and looks really pretty. Anyway, we've got the drive hooked up here, so the SATA drive 500 GB is here. Unfortunately, there is literally no mount in here, and what I do like about these 2.5-inch SATA drives is they are super light, so some packaging tape in strategic places holds it nicely in place, and then if they want to, they can remove it any time. And of course up here is where the card reader is and the DVD drive. So we are all set. We'll make sure that's up so that the DVD driver is locked, but it also has a screw in, so it should be okay. I also wanted to mention, since we're in here, what the wattage of the power supply is. It's actually 290 watts max. So if you wanted to put a video card in this, you got a couple of choices. One, you can use a low power graphics card, or you can consider getting a new power supply. And because this is an older computer, it might be a good idea. Now I have another one of these power supplies if this one should give out, and I also have the cable if it needs to be changed over to a different, more modern power supply. Alright folks, welcome back. So basically what we've got here is the desktop of the SSD on the Dell Optiplex 9020. So I successfully used a tool called Macrium Reflect, and I was able to copy the Western Digital hard drive to the SSD that I purchased, the SanDisk SSD. And now what I need to do is cruise over here, and I'm going to run disk management, create and format hard disk partitions, because we're having a small problem with the hard drive being the first bootable drive, and the easiest way to deal with that is just to erase it and turn it into a standard NTFS drive. But before we do that, we just want to have a look at it real quick. All right, so I'm thinking disk 1, yeah, it says C, so this must be the hard drive, the standard hard drive. See if we can get any properties here. Yeah, WDC, that's what we need to see. So what we're going to do is go ahead and delete this volume. Then we're going to delete this volume. And then we're going to go ahead and create a new simple volume and make it the size of the entire drive. Assign the drive letter E and format it with NTFS, and we'll just put something in there for the volume label, and we'll do a quick format and finish. Incidentally, when I booted up to the Western Digital hard drive, it took about a minute. When I booted up to the SSD, I was counting, and it took 7 seconds. That's a huge difference. All right, so we were talking about doing some benchmarks. So what I'm going to do here is download Geekbench. Now, I've already done this before on the previous computer, but it'd be nice to know and make sure that we're getting the same numbers as before. So we're going to download this, and then we're going to run Geekbench. So single core is excellent, 4,412, multi-core 13,709. When we do a wrap up, we'll compare it to the previous Dell 9020 that I had, which was the i7-4790. 17,042, that is dismal. You know as well as I do that a card like the RX 570 that I was using got well over 100,000 on the OpenCL score. So this is your basic functioning office computer without getting that GPU in there. But I did get it upgraded to the 16 gigabytes of RAM, and it's running great. I think I'll install a couple of other browsers on here and maybe LibreOffice. They do some basic office tasks on this system as well, and it'll be good to go. All right, so there you have it, the Dell Optiplex 9020. An excellent system. If you're looking to do gaming, all you have to do is install a decent video card in it, and it will do quite well. Still has PCI Express slot available in there for that video card expansion. It has the i7 4th gen processor in there, the 4690, which is still very powerful and can handle most of the games today. In Geekbench, the single core score was 4,558 and the multi-core was 15,229. Cinebench was 737. GPU was 33.34 frames per second. So this, as it is, isn't really going to be all that much of a gaming system, but you might find this interesting. The Ryzen 5 2400G with one DIMM in it could only achieve 39.46 on the OpenCL GPU test in Cinebench. So that should give you a comparison of what this machine is capable of. Now, it does have the built-in Intel 4600 graphics. Not all that great, so you would need a video card if you want to game on it. This is going to be used for business purposes. It was a slight upgrade. I added 16 gigabytes of RAM in it, as well as a newer 600 watt power supply and a 480 gigabyte SSD, which rounds it out and makes it a very nice, very fast system that's going to probably serve this business well for quite a few years. So if you're interested, you can pick one of these up for about 260 bucks. Now they are getting a little more expensive because they're becoming more popular for upgrades. So you decide if it's worth the money. I had the RX 570 video card, which cost me $112, so now you're up to $278, and it came with 8 gigs of RAM, but quite frankly, the 1 terabyte drive was fast enough. I didn't have to do the SSD. I did need to do the power supply upgrade because I put in a full RX 570 4 gigabyte card, and I had this power supply already, but you know, you can get a good power supply for $40 or $50, and all told, you're looking at maybe with a $50 power supply, maybe $340, and you'd have an excellent gaming machine. So, food for thought. Anyway, I thought you'd enjoy this video. It's fun to tinker around with different computers and test them out. Thank you for watching. As always, I'll see you next time on Fast Gadgets. This video was made possible with support from viewers like you. If you find this video useful, consider becoming a patron for as little as $1 a month at patreon.com/FastGadgets.